Hey guys, it's review day and test day too. So this is Algebra 2, and we are in Chapter 9 in the Big Ideas Math textbook, which is all about trig functions. So it says in a right triangle, theta is an acute angle, and secant is equal to 34 over 33. Evaluate the other 5 trig functions of theta. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is draw a triangle. So let's see here. Of course I'm having technical difficulties, because why wouldn't I? There we go. Here's my right triangle with 2 acute angles. And I'm going to put theta anywhere I want, so I'll put it right here. There's my theta. Now, it says secant is 34 over 33. So before I can do anything, I need to remember what secant is. Now, lucky for me, I have my cheat sheet in front of me. And I know that secant goes with cosine. It's the reciprocal. So since cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, that means secant is the hypotenuse over the adjacent. So from my theta, I know that this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, and my secant is supposed to be the hypotenuse over the adjacent, which means this is 34, and this is 33. Now, I have to figure out what the opposite side is, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to do Pythagorean theorem. So remember to pause me. This is not about the correct answer as much as it's about your being able to get to the correct answer. So just copying down what I have is not going to help you in any way. So right now in my calculator I'm doing these. Squares. I'm going to subtract, and I get 67 is equal to b squared, which means this opposite side here is the square root of 67. Okay, so now I can do my sine theta, which is opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite is the square root of 67. The hypotenuse is 34. My cosine of theta is easy because that is just the reciprocal of secant, which we already have. It should be 33 over 34, and I can check it by making sure it's the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which it is. Then I have my tangent function. Tangent of theta is O over A, so square root of 67 over 33. Now, what are we missing? We're missing the ones we don't want to find, because when I take the reciprocal of the sine function to get cosecant of theta, I get 34 over square root of 67. So I have to rationalize that denominator. So the cosecant of theta is actually equal to 34 radical 67 all over 67. And if you have forgotten how to rationalize, you do need to know how to do it. So what we do is we just multiply by whatever the radical is on the top and the bottom, and that's how we get there. Okay, and then I still am missing what? What am I missing? Cotangent. So tangent was rad 67 over 33, which means cotangent of theta is going to be 33 over rad 67, which is a no-no. Go ahead and rationalize your denominator, and you get 33 radical 67 over 67. Now I have lots of answers here. I have cotangent, cosecant, tangent, sine, and cosine. So all that worked, but we've got our 5 answers. Okay, remember to pause me. Number 2, it says solve triangle DEF. Well, look at the picture. What they're asking us to do is find the E and find the F. Now, I'm going to draw my person for the angle. Where do I draw my person? Always at the angle. So here's my person, which means this is the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. Now, look at what they gave us. They gave us the opposite. And we want the E and the F, so we want the adjacent, we want the hypotenuse. So if you go back here to which ones use the opposite, sine uses opposite, tangent uses opposite, cosecant uses opposite, cotangent uses opposite. Well, I like just sticking to sine, cosine, and tangent, so those ones that use the O are what I'm going to use. Alright, so I know that the sine of 35 is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So 27 over F. I'm going to multiply the F up in order to solve for it. So I get F times the sine of 35 equals 27. I'm going to divide the sine of 35 down. And now I know that F is equal to 27 divided by the sine of 35. Basically, they just switch spots. Now, in your calculator, you absolutely must make sure you're in degree mode. If you are not in degree mode, this is not going to work for you. So I made sure I was in degree mode, which I wasn't, and I am getting that F is approximately 47.07. Now that I've found F, I'm done, and I can find E. So remember, we need the trig functions that use O. We already did sine, so now we're going to go ahead and do tangent. I'll change colors just so you guys can keep the work straight. So I have tangent of 35 is equal to opposite over adjacent. Remember, in effect, what's happening is these guys switch spots, which means whatever E is 27 divided by the tangent of 35. So in my calculator, I do 27 divided by tangent of 35, and I got 38.5599996. So I'm going to say E is approximately 38.56. Now, we learned that the hypotenuse is always supposed to be the longest side, so we can check our work and see, yep, sure enough, the hypotenuse is the longest side. Okay, number 3. Draw your angle with a measure of 700. All right. Well, I know for sure 700's in the positive, and that right there is 360. What I just drew is 360. So I'm going to take 700 and I will take away 360. I'm just using my calculator. I'm not using my brain tonight. I got 340. So I know that in order to draw 700, I have to go an entire 360 and then I have to go another 340. And that is going to give me my 700 degrees. So my question for you is, where is 700 degrees on the unit circle? And your answer would be, it's at 340. Now what does that mean? That means that 340 degrees is coterminal. It's coterminal with the 700. Now, did I ask you that? No. This question only says, draw an angle that measures 700. So for you, that is the answer. But you need to know the rest of this stuff in order to get to that answer. So make sure you know that 700 degrees is coterminal with 340 degrees, and that you know that coterminal means they are the same ray. Okay, here we go with that coterminal word again. It says, which angle is coterminal with 112? Well, 112, let's just eyeball it. It's probably somewhere over here at 112 degrees. So in order to be coterminal with 112, you would either go positive, past it, and back to it, which would be 360 plus 112. So let's see if that's an answer choice for us. I got 472. Nope, not an answer choice. Or I could go negative this much. Now, how much is that? Well, that's just 360 minus 112, which is 248. But I am smarter than it, and I know it's negative because I went in the negative direction. Is that an answer? Nope. Okay, we're out of luck. So let's look at our answers. We know that it can't be negative 68, and we know that that 382 just probably isn't right because we got 472, and negative 338 just, I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me. So I'm thinking the answer is C, that big 832. So let me grab another color and we'll try it. If we follow the green pattern and we go around once for 360 and we go around again, doop, 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 there I am one more time. I went twice around. So twice of 360, 720. How much more would I have to go from right here to my ray? Another 112, right? That's a 2, that's a 3, that's a 8. Guess what? It is letter choice C, 832. Okay, talk to each other. Make sure you're working these out. The answer is not as important as you being able to get the answer. All right, it says convert from radians to degrees here. So I have negative pi over 30. And in order to convert that, I have to multiply it by 180 over pi. The pi's cancel. And 180 divided by 30 is 6. So the answer is negative 6. It says let negative 10, 24 be a point on the terminal side of the angle theta. Evaluate our 6 functions. Okay, we got this, no problem. Ooh, that was very crooked. Okay, here's negative 10, here's positive 24. We're just pretending because it's the best I can do. Let's say it's like right there somewhere. You want to draw your triangle. And remember where theta goes. Where does theta go? Always at the origin. Okay, if theta is at the origin, that means this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. Now, my information is that this is negative 10 and that this is 24. So before I can continue doing this problem, I need to find the hypotenuse. So I have negative 10 squared plus 24 squared equals my hypotenuse squared. Obviously that's 100. This is 576. So that's 676. And in my calculator, when I take a square root, it's telling me that's 26 units. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to need to do is go back all the way to the beginning of time here. And look, sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. The cosecant, the secant, the cotangent, those are all reciprocals. Okay, so that's where we're at on this problem. Alright, so the sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So I've got 24 over 26. Now that reduces. 24 over 26 is 12 over 13. And I'm going to save space, so I'm just going to leave it that way. And then now, what goes with sine? Cosecant goes with sine. And I know it's just the reciprocal. I don't even have to work. Okay, now let's go for cosine. The cosine of our angle is equal to the adjacent, which is negative 10, over the hypotenuse. So that's negative 5 over 13. And what goes with cosine? Secant, of course. So the secant of the angle is 13 over negative 5. Okay, remember to pause me or fast forward me so that you can really understand what we're doing here. The tangent, trying to say tangent, of theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So that is 12 over negative 5. And the cotangent of theta is just the reciprocal, negative 5 over 12. Okay, I think I'm actually going to stop, save this video, and make a second video.